up, reefers? Welcome back to the Saltwater Reef channel. I don't know what you did this past weekend, but I ventured the 5 hours to Dallas, Texas, to the Aquashella convention down there. Now, it was a lot more than just a reef convention. There was freshwater, small animals, and reptiles, which really gave you something for the whole family to do. There was a lot of nice things about this convention. If you haven't ever been to, if you've been to the Reefapalooza or MACNA, this one was a kind of an integration of art and all the animals and music. I really did enjoy having the music playing just loud enough just to hear it, to kind of drown out all the people talking and everything like that. It was great to see all the YouTubers that for both freshwater, saltwater, and all the animal YouTubers, which I do watch from time to time. I could easily see this convention being 2 to 3 times larger than it was. There was just so many people at the convention. In fact, Saturday, I actually went on Sunday, but Saturday there was a 2-hour waiting line, and people were, from what I hear, were packed wall to wall in the building, enough that the fire marshal had to come in and shut the entrance down for a little while to let the numbers of the capacity of the building ease up. So if you didn't go, you missed out. Sean and George did an incredible job along with their staff, try to make this fun and a great experience to go to. So a couple of the cons that I saw from this past weekend. One of the biggest ones, and it happens in the facilities like this, in many of the conventions I've been to, is there's no internet. In a building like this, it was for sure. I mean, even the cell service was a little spotty in places. But you got to remember, we're here buying and selling and needing to be able to check bank accounts and send money and stuff like that. You've got to have internet for the customers. Plain and simple, this is like the #1 pet peeve. They had internet for the vendors, and I'm sure they pay for it, but this should have been worked out in the contract. And make sure you have an internet that's capable of all these people. One of the things I guess they did was they did have some internet, but it crashed on Saturday because of how many people were there. I work in IT. They can totally plan for this. Usually facilities that do this kind of stuff can handle it. The fairgrounds probably could not, but there's ways to hire someone to bring in enough Wi-Fi to be able to make the transactions and stuff easy. I actually had to go all the way outside the building to be able to do a purchase for a vendor. Second, while you could come and go from Aquashella all you wanted, which was really nice, you could go outside and stuff like that, you could not drive off the fairgrounds at all. Once you left the fairgrounds in your vehicle, they wanted to charge you a $10 fee again to come in and park. This is definitely no bueno for all the people there, especially when all the restaurants are off the fairgrounds and most of the people wanted to leave to go get something to eat if you've been there all day. So that for sure was another big pet peeve of mine. A small one was even though they had all these YouTubers there, which was great to do, and they were behind the desk and signing autographs and meeting people, when they weren't doing that, they were just sitting behind the desks chatting amongst themselves. I kind of feel like it'd been nice to see a lot more of the YouTubers out and mingling with the people instead of just kind of being in a clique behind the tables, which makes them feel like they're not as approachable. Now, I did meet a number of YouTubers there that were out and chatted with them. George and Rico, and there's Stan was there. I saw him. on Sunday, and Dustin, and a number of other ones. But I feel like the rest of the YouTubers could have gotten out and been a little more friendly. One of my other kind of pet peeves was the security and the facility people. I know in almost any other business, if I had the attitude that they had, I wouldn't be in a job. I wouldn't have a job. I know they don't, it's Saturday and Sunday and they're working and all that, but they could easily put on a smile face and be courteous to the people that are there. I mean, we came there to have a good time and stuff like that, and you know, them being kind of in a grumpy attitude just didn't work for me. Now let's go on and talk about Reefapalooza a little bit and getting ready to go to Reefapalooza. I'm not going to be able to make it this year, but planning to go next year. A couple things you might want to do for Reefapalooza is make sure you check out all the vendors first before you start buying. Unless there's just something that you really, really have to have and there was only one of it. That would be the only reason why I would do it, because you might find something where this was 2 heads, you can get the same coral down at another vendor with just 1 head if that's all you needed. Second thing is, anytime I buy something from someone, I always pick up the business card, and put it in my pocket, and I put only the cards that I bought vendors from in that pocket. So when it comes time later on, I can go back to that vendor and collect the coral. Most of the vendors will hold the corals until you're ready to leave, and that's how I kind of do the floor is, once I'm ready to leave, then I go around and take my cards out and start collecting them and going back and collecting all my corals. The other thing you might want to do is have a cooler that you could use within the building to put all your corals in, and then maybe a better cooler out in your vehicle for transporting it back to your house, which for me was 5 hours. Another thing to watch out for is inspect the coral all the way. Most of us just look at it and see how flashy it is. A friend of mine bought an SPS, and once we got it home, we noticed that the backside was completely dead, which I understand that it was probably the lower side, but you want to look at all of the coral around. Now I ended up getting an LPS coral that was freshly cut, and you can see basically the bottom of the coral skeleton and the coral through the notch that was in it. So I might not have bought that coral if I noticed it. So I would say be careful when you're looking at corals and inspect them all the way. Ask the vendor to show you the base of the coral and all the way around all the different sides before you purchase it. The other thing that you might notice is, I don't know if you've been to a show this week or this year, with the closing of the Indonesia and everything, the prices have gone through the roof. I noticed that pretty quick. Normal hammers and stuff that I used to spend $30 to $40 a polyp now are in the realm of $60 to $80, even $100 a polyp. And torches have just gone through the roof. Of course, this is going to be an LPS tank, so that's kind of what I'm shopping for. And torches at the minimum for the Indo Golds and stuff like that were $400 and going up to $1,000. Now most of the stuff is now starting to be aquacultured, which is great for us, but the vendors are keeping the prices up there. And so I noticed that across all the corals though. Mushrooms and zoes and anemones were ridiculous there, going from $2,000 and up for anemones. So be ready for that when you go to Reefapalooza, because the vendors are not cutting any deals. Even when I start bundling, it's the price. There's no, I'll give you 10% off or something like that or anything like that. They didn't do that. It was pretty much That was the price. There was no haggling. What used to be the days of the vendors just wanting to sell off the corals and not take anything home are the days gone. These guys are taking the corals back, and whether they sell them or not, that doesn't bother them. And it's kind of funny, when I was there on Sunday, which I thought there would be less than half the corals left, there was pretty much between half and 3/4 of the corals left. I don't know how many. I thought there wouldn't be any gold torches left. Almost every vendor had gold torches, and they were all set the same price, well, 400 and up, and they just weren't moving. I mean, not a lot of people were going to spend $400 for any torch, one torch coral, one head of a torch coral. So I would say, if you're at Reefapalooza, be ready to spend some money, because your dollar doesn't go nearly as far as it used to going to these shows anymore. I remember the last show I went to, I was able to come home with about 20 frags, and this show I came home with about 10, for a lot more money than I spent for 20 frags. So just be ready that the vendors are not not cutting any deals. They're not, they're willing to take the corals home and sell them. And I feel like this is interesting, because this is the place where all the reefing nerds are there. And if they can't sell them at the price there, I don't know where else they're going to sell them. So just wanted to give you kind of a heads up of the Aquashella. Like I said, I think it was a great time, a great convention, and I can easily see it being much better. I think if George and Sean can work out the last couple little detail issues that I saw with internet and having a way to get in and parking and being able to go out and stuff, I think that it'll be an awesome show. And like I said, I believe next year, if they come back to Dallas, it'll be even better than it was this year. So if you didn't go, you missed out. It was a great show, a lot of fun, and we'll be looking forward to going again next year. Thanks a lot. See you later.